everybody, it's Tracy Napotnick from SalonTrading.com. Don't mind my voice today. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I feel great. I'm excited that I'm getting to do this interview with Ameet. We were, excuse me, we were saying we had this interview, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and there was just some things that were off in the background. Not a big deal. So it was such an important topic. We decided that we are going to do this again so that we can have this live and that you guys can have this in your library. So I'm going to let Ameet do most of the talking today. He has a great presentation, and I'm looking forward to seeing it again. So, Ameet, let's just talk about who you are and what I know your topic is 10 tips to book more online appointments.
Yes, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Tracy. I appreciate you doing this despite being a little under the weather. And thanks for doing the retake. I had a lot of background noise a little while ago, so it's good to be back with you with Salon Training, and just very, very excited to chat about this. Super quick background. I can mention a little more about us at the end of the presentation. I do want to jump in and give as much value as we can as quickly as possible, but I run a company called Glamatic. Sort of the premise of the name is glamour meets automatic, beauty meets software, and that's exactly what we do. We are exclusive to the beauty industry, and we are here to help with marketing technology. So we want to help you get found online by more people and help run that online portion of the business. But a really big piece of what we do is also education. We want to make sure you're empowered to do these things yourselves. A lot of folks are great in the shop, but how do you get people in the shop, and how do you make sure you represent your brand online? There's so much out there in terms of how to do that. There's a lot of strategy, but today I wanted to give a few really tactical tips, and specifically 10 tips on how to book more appointments. So if that's your goal, if your goal is to fill more chairs, to fill that calendar with more slots, eventually kind of grow that team a bit more, so you can take more revenue in as a business. These are just some quick things you can do. Some are super simple, will take 30 seconds or a minute. Some are a little bit more intensive, but in just one day or even half a day, if you invest in these 10 things, it's going to make a difference for your business. So without further ado, I'm happy to just jump right in, Tracy, if that works.
Yep, that's great. Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely. So here we go. So tip number one is all about your Google business profile. So just to back up a little bit, right? Most people, and I kind of mentioned this stat here, 97% of potential clients are going to learn about your business somehow online. And the vast majority of that is coming through Google. It's people who are on Google on their phone primarily that are searching for salon near me, or spa near me, or in this particular city, or some sort of service that you're offering near me. That kind of location-based search is the primary way people are looking for business, unless they're already your client. And to optimize your presence online, you want to make sure that you have claimed your Google business profile. So the best way to check to see if you've already done this is to simply search your business's name plus the city that it's in. And on the right-hand side, if you're on a computer, on that right-hand side of the screen, or if you're on your phone, right at the top, should be this card that includes your business's name, its information, and you should have direct access to edit that. If you're the owner or the manager, you should have direct access to edit the information that's visible in that card. That will include your website link, maybe a link directly for people to book appointments, your hours of operation, reviews, all of that should be right there, photos. And you get access to that. It's not out of your control. You have the ability to go and edit the photos that are visible there, to edit the hours of operation. And so you want to make sure you have access to it. If you do have it verified, Google's going to favor you because it believes you're more credible online. So make sure you get access to it. You can go to business.google.com to log into it, and just make sure that info is up to date and accurate. The second thing I've mentioned here is kind of a separate tip, is Google Search Console. I will share this presentation so you can click all the links that are on here, but if you just type in Google Search Console on Google, you'll find this. This is where you can submit your website URL directly to Google, because Google is scraping all of the content that exists online. And if you have new pages or a new website, it takes a little bit of time for Google to scrape all that information. So if you submit your website to Google Search Console, it accelerates that process. It expedites your approval online. And so highly recommend doing this. It also, once again, gives Google that credibility, because what Google cares about is making sure it's showcasing the right relevant information to people who are searching. So the more you can do to make yourself seem more credible online, the more likely you are to show up in results. So that's what a lot of these tips are around. So that is tip number one, your Google business profile. Quick thing you can do. Number two, manage reviews. So, we kind of, I'm sure you think about reviews all the time. Every time you get a bad review, it probably makes you really upset. And if you get a happy review, it makes you really happy. Reviews are the lifeblood of how people make consumer decisions, especially when there are multiple options. You want to look at what other people like you are saying and whether or not they had a good experience. And so from your perspective, it makes a really big difference to have a good review score aggregate online. And there's Yelp, there's Facebook, there's all sorts of sites that have reviews, but nothing is more important than your Google reviews. And so for our websites, we always accept, we accept people taking reviews as well. We only showcase the highest quality reviews. But when it comes to a public interface like Google, they want to make sure that everybody, it's sort of democratic, can put in the review. So, although you can't control for bad reviews, one thing that you can do outside of having a great, service, one thing that you can do is try to encourage as many good and positive reviews as possible. So my recommendation here is anytime you are, doing an appointment, if you have had a good experience with that client, if that client seems happy, just ask them, hey, if you don't mind, would you be able to leave a review? If you had a positive experience, could you leave a review on Google for me? And even better, if you print out cards with QR codes that link to the exact place for people to leave a review, pass those cards out to people on their way out. And once again, that leading question of, if you had a positive experience, would love for you to leave a review for me on Google, makes a huge difference. People want to support you. People want to support their local business. Make it easy for them to leave a good review. And over time, right, that's going to increase that average, and that's going to help when other people are searching online to choose you for appointments. The second thing I'll mention here is whether or not it's a good or a bad review, reply to all of them. Just to show that you are engaged as a business makes a difference. And so, if it's a happy review, say thank you so much for coming in. Really enjoyed working with you. If it's not so good of a review, obviously take a deep breath, and you don't want to respond to too much emotion if you can avoid it, and see if you can make it better. And at the very least, say thank you for your feedback. Sorry you had a bad experience. We really do strive to do better. And depending on what you're willing to offer, maybe there's something you can do about it. But just saying something shows that you care, that you're at least engaging, and that it matters to you what people think. So that's number two, can go a long way. Number three is clear CTA. So CTA stands for call to action. Now, this is extremely important on your website. Now, we look at salon websites, dozens of them every single day as a company. And so it's crazy how often I come to a salon website and either there's no option to book an appointment at all, or it's really difficult to find. And at the end of the day, that's your primary goal, right? Is to actually get people to book appointments with you. If they have to go through a process of calling you or texting you or writing in an email or a contact form or walking in person to book an appointment, you're simply going to get fewer appointments because there's a lot of people out there who want to do it quickly on the fly, book right there. And they'll leave and just go to the next website where they can book an appointment if you don't support it. So first of all, make sure you support it. And then second, make it very obvious how they can book an appointment. So we always recommend making sure that you have a big button, not huge, right? It needs to still look good and flow with your brand, but it should be obvious. And the first thing people see when they land on your website is that book now option. And when they click that, they should be able to book online. Now, I want to just call out that it's particularly important that you make this clear on mobile devices. So the vast majority, 70 to 80% of your website traffic is probably coming from people's mobile phones. They're searching on the fly, they're searching on their phone to see what's around them, a lot of times from Google Maps, right? And then clicking into the website. So once again, you've just got to make sure you check your website on your phone and see that that book now button is right there on that home screen without them having to scroll. A lot of times it's hidden between menus and navigation and having to click through a couple of pages to find or scroll all the way to the bottom when that's really what people are there to do. And people have a low attention span. It's even lower when they're on their mobile phone. So you want to make sure you have a clear CTA. All right. And Tracy, feel free to jump in at any point with any, questions or comments. Otherwise, I'll keep rolling.
Awesome. Okay, keep going.
Great. So number 4 is meta descriptions. Kind of a scary word potentially, but it's really not that complicated. I want to just sort of describe what is a meta description from a consumer perspective first. So when you're searching on Google for business near you, you're going to see all those search results, and you're going to see a title, and you're going to see a description. In some cases, you'll not only just see a title and a description, and then the next title and description for a different website, you'll see a title and a description, and then a bunch of sub-pages underneath that with titles and descriptions as well. Those descriptions and those titles are the meta title and meta description. You should be able to edit those on your end or through your web provider. We do this for every single page on every single client website because it's very important. It does a couple things. One, again, from the consumer perspective, it shows them right out of the gate what you do. And the more meta descriptions you have, so the more pages that you have descriptions for, the more real estate your search result is going to take up on that screen. And again, it's all about attention, right? So if you can take up half the screen or a third of the screen with your titles and descriptions for your website, they're a lot less likely to go to the next result or even get distracted by other results and spend more time looking at yours, and then more likely to click into your website. So it's important to create these meta titles, meta descriptions. This is really important for search engine optimization. It also feeds directly in the backend. It feeds directly into Google. It tells Google what these pages are about. And like we talked about, Google just wants to show people relevant results. So if you can describe that, your contact page is a way for people to get in touch with your salon, mentioning those specific keywords, it's more likely to showcase that if people are searching for something along those lines. So that's number 4, is figure out a way to update those titles and descriptions. Very tactically, I would recommend between 100, 150 characters for each description. You don't want it to be so long that people can't actually read the whole thing when they're looking at those search results. And you don't want it to be so short that you're missing out on an opportunity to share more about your business. So that's why that 100 and 150 is a pretty good range to target. All right, number 5. So invest in high quality imagery, video, and branding. So, I mean, the description here kind of says it all. People purchase with their eyes. We're in the beauty industry, right? People care a lot about aesthetic. They care a lot about look and feel. Of course, that has to do with your actual design of your site, but so much of it comes down to how good are your photos and your videos, which are even more important than ever now, and your branding. So let's touch on each of these really briefly. Well, images and videos, I just highly recommend getting a professional to come out. If the photos on your website are just stock images or they're taken with an iPhone camera, well, iPhone cameras are pretty good right now. So if you're good enough with it, that could get you some of the way, but getting professionally done photos makes a big difference. Just like iPhone camera quality has gone up, professional photography quality has also gone up, and it makes a difference. It's worth that initial investment. It's a one-time fee, right, to go hire someone to come out and take great photos and even some video content, because you can use it in perpetuity. You can use it on your site. You can use it on all your marketing materials, and it really goes a long way because that's the first thing people are drawn to. People don't want to read anymore, right? They just want to look at images and videos and make decisions that way. They see something that they like. That's what they're going to get. That's what they're going to point to when they're sitting in your chair. This is what I want to. So really invest in that high quality photography. It goes a long way. And then the last point here is branding. So, branding it involves a lot of things, but if we're getting into the kind of details, it really comes down to logo, your fonts, and your colors. Those 3 things together make up your core brand guidelines. And it's important to get that professionally done. If you have a blurry logo on your website, or it's a very generic just name of your business, there's a lot more you can do. You want to leave a lasting impression, and that logo is the first thing, right? People are going to think about when they think about your business. And the fonts and colors should be coherent with what you represent, what you stand for. Maybe you've invested a lot in your branding in store, but investing in that online is also important. So, going through some sort of branding process to have really nice, crisp materials that can be used across the board online, pairing that with good images and video, that's ultimately going to lead to a lot more appointments, because you can do all the work to get people to your site. If you don't have a compelling site, with all this great imagery and branding, people might leave and go to the next one. So again, really important to invest in this stuff. That is tip number 5. Number 6 is building an email list. So if you're already feeling overwhelmed by all this stuff that you have to do, right, the idea of sending out email campaigns or text campaigns might feel like a lot. But the beauty of an email list is just by putting in a couple things in place, even if you're not proactively sending out campaigns to people, you're at least going to start collecting their data. And that's important because whenever you are ready to run a promo, or you have a little more time on your hands and you want to get a creative campaign going around a holiday, or Black Friday is coming up, or Thanksgiving and Christmas, whatever it might be, you have that now database of people that you can reach out to. And if you're using an appointment booking software, hopefully you have a database of people who have booked appointments right there already, but you want to have other means of collecting data too. Whatever you can do to get people's info that are your existing clients or your prospective clients is important to try to collect. At any point, maybe you're having a down month and you need to try to do a quick recovery. Running a campaign with some promo could be a great way to do that. So I just really recommend putting in sort of contact forms or subscriber wait lists or whatever it might be across your website. On your website, you can have a pop-up that shows up as soon as someone lands saying, hey, put in your email address to stay tuned for upcoming promotions that we have. And if they're interested, right, it's going to self-select for people who are actually interested in that stuff. They'll include that email, and that gives you a base to eventually reach out to. Generally speaking, I definitely recommend doing proactive campaigns, keeping people engaged, reminding them about who you are, what you offer. But at the very least, I just recommend setting up this stuff to collect that info. That's number 6. Number 7. Oh, Tracy, were you going to say something?
We had talked about last time for number 6. Can you go back up to that for a minute?
Absolutely.
I think building an email list is highly important, of course. But you had mentioned too that we can also get text messaging, just because so many people open up a text message more than they do emails sometimes. So having both on your website is definitely important too.
Yeah, great callback. Yeah, so I mean, email open rates are quickly declining. There's so many spammers and scammers out there that are just, you've probably seen your own inbox. There's just so many emails. And but text there's a lot more privacy law around text, and so it's a little trickier. You're probably seeing some scammers out there on text too, but it's a little trickier to be able to get there. And the open rates on text are well above 90%. So completely agree. If you can get that phone number up front, I mean, we've switched to trying to do as much of our communication with folks via text as we can, because people don't want to open their email. I mean, you and I text, right? That's the best way to communicate. So definitely, if you can ask for not just their email address, but their phone number, gives you even more power in the background. Yeah. Good call.
And make sure that they can opt out too.
100%. Yeah. You don't want to be put in jail on the online side, right? Like there's the spam jail, and then you won't land in anyone's inbox, or your number will get disbanded. So definitely, and you got to follow the rules and guidelines there. Number 7 is social media profile. So this is similar to number 1 around Google. It's just as simple as doing the basic updates. You may not have the bandwidth to invest in doing daily social posts and creating all of the things that you need to create on a regular basis, but at least get your profiles active and just get them up to date. And that will go a long way, at least to show that you have a credible presence online. It also helps. The more places you are online, it also tells Google, once again, that you are a legitimate, credible entity, especially if that information is consistent across the board. So with this, the very specific things I'd recommend, definitely Instagram and Facebook. Those are still the 2 primary social channels. There's growth on the TikTok side, but it's way lower than Instagram and Facebook. Facebook still rules in terms of total daily users, but Instagram is fast on the rise, and especially depending on who your target client base is, there might actually be more people that are engaged on Instagram than Facebook. So it's important to do both of those at the very least, and just look at your profile. Do you have blurry photos? Is your cover photo or your profile photo? Is your information up to date? Do you have a bio? Are you doing anything interesting or fun with that bio, like including emojis to stand out? Looking at those things, making sure your links are listed there and accurate, your website link, the ability to book, right? Those should all be on your profile. We usually recommend for the profile photo, if you're a salon, to use your logo, especially if it's a professional logo. That's, again, you want to get that mind share as much as you can for consumers, and having a logo or a brand that's memorable is the best way to do that. So, consistently showcasing that wherever you can. If you're a solo practice or an independent, that can be it's more of your personality that you're trying to showcase. That should be a picture of yourself, more likely than not. And then there's something called highlights on Instagram, where you can create little sections that are right at the top of your profile. And that could be featuring different stylists on your team. It could be featuring different services or events, whatever it might be. I do recommend, again, taking up real estate wherever you can. And those highlights are great. You can just set it up one time. You can always update that after the fact, but without even worrying about posting on a daily basis, just get your profiles up to date. That is tip number 7. Number 8, yeah, so we were talking about texting, and generally speaking, I very much recommend doing text. So this is a bit more of an advanced tip. So, would take a little bit more time to get set up, but if you can convert anybody who's leaving a voicemail to someone who is now engaging with someone on text basis, that's a win. Because if someone reaches your voicemail, they're probably going to go try calling someone else, unless they're already a client of yours. And so you don't want to lose that traffic, especially if you're offline, or you might just be busy. The reception might also be cutting hair, and you might be doing rotations or shifts. And it's important to make sure that there's some way to engage with people who are trying to engage with you. So texting, you can set up text automation to reply to a voicemail at that point, saying, "Hi," or "Sorry we missed your call. Did you want to book an appointment with me? Here's the link." And at least that's going to capture some degree of otherwise lost communication. And then from there, you can sort of have an agent or yourself, texting back and forth. And then exactly what we were talking about earlier, don't just think about email, think about text for campaigns that you might run as well to just engage with people, tell people about promos. You can always personalize, in mail merge or mass texting campaigns, what you're saying to make people feel really cared for and thought about. So there's some systems out there that will actually allow you, if you know that somebody likes to come in for an appointment every 4 weeks, to send that reminder on that 4th week if they haven't come in, saying, "Hey, did you still want to book another appointment here?" Just to give that reminder, again, take up that mind share. So that is tip number 8. Very similar, tip number 9, consider a chatbot. So this is another kind of new development. This really helps bring your website alive. That's how I like to talk about, having an AI chatbot or some sort of chatbot on your website. As easy as it might be once you've incorporated those CTAs, those calls to action on your website, for people to actually book with you, sometimes they don't want to look around. And if you have a chatbot that right when someone lands on the site, it opens up saying, "Hi, how can I help you?" Or, "Are you looking to book an appointment? Click here." Something to engage with people out of the gate. The other benefit here is it allows you to generate leads. So if people do have questions, you can ask them, "Can you include your phone number or your email? So if this conversation gets lost, I can reach out to you." That's now a lead for future campaigns. And then lastly, you're going to start to learn, what do people really care about, right? If people are asking questions to you on this chat because you're engaging with them, you'll start to learn, what do people ask about? Are they wondering when you have availability? Are they wondering which stylist is best for them? That's going to then inform the kind of data that you update on your site so that you can answer those types of questions, or maybe even the services that you're offering in store. So it's just a great place to collect information. And so a chatbot is something to consider. There's a lot of tools out there now that you can get started with. And then lastly is paid ads. This is another sort of advanced or extra kind of bonus tip here is running paid ads, especially if you're a new business or you're running a promo. We recommend this to folks, especially if they have a kind of a higher ticket item, and don't just do an ad just to do it. Think about the strategy behind it. When we run ads for folks, we focus on Google rather than Facebook and Instagram. It can be a little bit, you might want to do Facebook and Instagram because you like to see that follower count grow. And if that's your strategy, it makes sense. But if you are just trying to drive appointments, you want to think about the intent that people have. When people are on Instagram or Facebook, usually they're just browsing. They're not in discovery mode. They're not looking for a service. When they're on Google, they're looking to make some sort of purchase, or they're looking for, some direction around what to do next. And so there's a lot more intent to book an appointment on Google. That's why we run Google ads. We see the return on investment to be much higher. And the benefit of running a Google ad is it allows for your placement to be higher in the search results. So you might see when you search on Google, the first couple of results are sponsored. And that's what that Google ad, that means they're paying for ads. And especially if you're not yet ranking very highly, it can be a good way to accelerate your path to ranking higher, because once you do pay for that ad and you're placed higher and people click on that website and spend time on it, Google's now learning that people care about this website. And then when you're not running those ads anymore, they'll still want to continue showcasing your site. So it can be a good way to sort of leapfrog other folks. And it can be a worthwhile investment for search traffic. We've been running ads for this one client this month, and they've doubled their search traffic in just a month. And we've been working with them for 6-7 months with steady increase, but doubled in just a month. And so that kind of benefit can be great. But we do recommend you think about the keywords that you're running the ads for, because the way it works is you're running ads for specific search queries that people are searching for, and then there's a price based on how many other people want to pay for that ad, and you bid for volume. And so you want to look at which keywords that people are searching for in general that could lead them to you, and then look at the price point of each of those keywords. You don't want to pay for something that's really expensive, because then it's unlikely to get you return on investment. But there could be some keywords out there that are actually really great deals and highly worth you investing in, even if it's not your favorite service to offer, your best-selling offer right now. That's what people are searching for, and you get a good cost for it, it's worth it to try to get people through the door that way. So paid ads is one. We could go into a lot more detail about all of these, but another thing to consider to help book more appointments. Okay, so those are our 10 tips for you today. Any other comments or questions there, Tracy?
So I can't wait to actually hire you for something too that's coming up. So I met him in Ohio at the premiere show. He came over and was telling me about this, and he showed me what he's going to show you next. And I can tell you, if you do not want to spend time doing your own, like he showed you guys a lot. And if you don't have time to sit there and do that and you think you're overwhelmed, he's going to show you, he can help you. And I think your prices are phenomenal. And I think that what you offer just helps us tremendously as salon owners. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate that. We are built for the industry. And at the end of the day, we're trying to support the industry, which is why we will give advice like this all the time, anytime. We want to support you anyway. But exactly like Tracy said, our whole point, how we work is, if you don't have the time to do this, or you're not in a place to invest in this stuff yourself, we'll do it for you. So it's sort of a blend of do-it-yourself platforms like Wix or Squarespace, if you're familiar, or GoDaddy, and agency. Kind of blends the best of both. We have a platform that's extremely easy to use. We've kind of scaled it down to be just what beauty professionals need. And so you can do it on your own. We teach you how to use it, but we also have a dedicated team that will build everything for you, run all of your campaigns for you, and really help build your business online. That's our whole premise. So we've got we offer all these different services: websites, SEO, paid ads, social media, all this stuff on your behalf. And we are a member of Salon Training. Really, really love what Salon Training is doing. We're a member benefit. And so if you go to glamatic.com/salon training, this is the site that you're going to see. And you can schedule a free demo where you'll meet with one of our specialists, and we'll do an audit of your existing web presence to give you tips on how you could improve that. We'll also give you more detail on how we work and whether or not it makes sense to work with us. There's plenty of detail on here. We don't do any setup fees. There's no contracts. We do a money back guarantee. We've worked with thousands of small businesses, and again, we are exclusively dedicated to this industry. And yeah, we're super excited to keep working with you, Tracy, and other salons.
Awesome. Can you scroll down just a tiny bit? I know you said you help manage their social media too. I think that's a big one, if you can talk about that for just a brief moment.
100%. So the social media, we always need somebody on site who can be a point person for us to help collect content, because our belief is that for you to stand out as a salon, you need to have your own content, right? We could sit here and create graphics all day long, but that's just not going to be as engaging with your audience as having actual pictures of your clients in your salon. And so that's the one thing we ask, and we train staff at your salon how to take the right photos, what kinds of photos to take. We have a sheet there, and we just need one point person to help facilitate that. But outside of that, we do everything else. We create post templates that we can apply your photos and videos to look like your branded salon. They're completely personalized, and then we post on a regular basis. We do 5 posts per week across Instagram and Facebook. And then we also do the engagement. So we actually go out and we'll follow people who are in your target demo. We'll reply to your comments, really try to build an engaged base so that we can increase your follower count, keep your entire profile engaged. We drive people to your website to book appointments, since it's all part of the same ecosystem. We're all in one on the marketing side. So that's the main idea, and it can just supplement what you're already doing on social, but it goes a long way.
That's great. So to sum it up, you can build them a whole entire website and hand it to them and say, here you go, in a sense, right? Like they can look at it.
Correct.
Do a couple different things. Then there's another one where you can build it and you maintain it. You're like, you do all of that so they don't have to. Correct. And then the third one is if you want to help them do all of their social media, you're there too.
Exactly. Pretty much end to end on the marketing side. We'll kind of cover, sorry, I have to move rooms here, but we'll cover exactly what they need. So yeah, from the build, and in fact, in our first conversation, if somebody's interested, we'll show them their personalized website right out of the gate. So, don't have to pay anything. We'll literally show you a personalized site. And then that's the digital storefront. That's the kind of first step. And from there, let's actually drive promotions and drive engagement and run everything for you. Okay.
And lastly, if you can you scroll up to where you said that they can get a consultation with you?
Yes, absolutely. So all you need to do is go to glamatic.com/salon training. Okay. And if you click schedule a free demo, it'll bring you to this. And there are plenty of times available to meet with one of our specialists as soon as today.
Okay. All right. I'll actually open that link up myself, and then I'll put it in this chat.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Tracy. Always a pleasure.
All right. Talk to you later.
Sounds good.
Bye. Bye.